It's your grandma's fourth favorite podcast. We're back. The Debt Row Pod, episode 20. It's hard to believe we've done 19 of these already. Bradley Davis absent tonight. It'll be just Joshua Sears and I as Josh continues to pick up the pieces from the Frank Reich debacle. We move onward into tonight. We have Seahawks and Cowboys kicking off in roughly about 2 hours from now. Josh, how are you on this Thursday evening, November 30th, year of our Lord?
I'm doing good until I read. Did I send you that tweet earlier about what Cam said today?
Talking about Belichick?
Yeah. I didn't like reading that.
Bill Belichick to the Panthers. I mean,
can't have that.
Well, Belichick, I think, will be worth something as far as capital goes, but the Panthers
We
don't
have
that
no
to
capital.
Send. Exactly.
We have nothing.
The Panthers don't have that to send.
We need players, and I don't want him as my GM. And you know he's going to want that.
No, yeah.
Can't.
I think the Commanders might grant that to him, but neither here nor there. We got 13 games to get into. We're going to go a little bit in a different order this week. Normally, we'll hit all the 1 o'clock games first, but we'll hit the Thursday night game first. But there's a game at 4:25 on Sunday at the link that we're going to talk about on deck that I feel like needs to be hit before the rest. So, without further ado, Seattle getting 9 at Dallas tonight. Over under is 47.5. I think obviously a lot of people are leaning on the Dallas Cowboys in this spot.
Everyone.
Absolutely. The Cowboys have won 12 straight. They've won 12 straight games at home. It doesn't feel like anyone is backing this Seattle team, which kind of frightens me a little bit. I am on Dallas -9 tonight. I'm also on Dallas -6 first half, a little bit of some ladder action. It feels like they have found something, and Dak Prescott right now is playing as good as he has in a year of his entire career. And the Mike McCarthy chatter is very quiet. It's very, very quiet for, I think, the first time this season, Josh.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not laying the 9 with Dallas. I played a teaser. Something about that number freaks me out for some reason. Like it shouldn't. They're blowing out everybody. But Seattle feels like they're going to get chippy tonight. Pete Carroll, good coach, feels like he's going to find a way to keep it close. Even with Geno kind of banged up and not playing his best. Yeah, Dallas is playing well. They're playing good football, but they've played a cupcake schedule over the last month. And not saying like Seattle's a bunch of world beaters by any means, but this is probably their toughest test in the last month. So feels like this game could stay close, at least within this number. But I don't know, dude. This game has had me kind of more befuddled than any game really so far this year. I haven't felt like I knew how to bet it all day. I'd lean more towards the prop market. I like JSN over yards, maybe receptions if you can get 3.5. They seem like they'll probably try to target the slot. It's kind of a weaker area of Dallas's defense, I think. They're a little susceptible there if you can take advantage of it. Plus, you've got to start getting Jackson Smith and Jigba involved.
Agreed.
He's too talented. Like, people acting like he's a bust and saying he's no good makes no sense to me.
He's played 11 games, bro.
Yeah, dude. And I think we know this dude's as talented as it gets at the receiver position. They've just got to learn how to use him.
Yeah, they got to learn how to get him the ball. And, we're 11 games in, and now tick-tock. The clock is moving on a lot of these teams that 2 weeks ago we thought were going to be secure as far as NFC playoff position goes.
Yeah, I think Seattle's falling out, personally.
So are the Vikings as well.
I think Green Bay's going to get in.
And the Packers, the Rams, and the Saints, the Saints still alive for their division as well, are all a game out. I mean, you saw Josh Dobbs on Monday night. Like, do you have any faith in them holding on to the last spot?
Only because the teams that are behind them are not very good. Like, I think Seattle's going to fizzle out and fall out of the race. I think Green Bay will get in. I think Green Bay will probably get the 6th seed. And Minnesota will limp their way to the 7th seed just because the NFC's that bad. And I don't know if it'll
Yeah.
even be Josh Dobbs quarterbacking them by the end of the season. We may have Jaron Hall playing.
Yeah, no, I think that's a
And
real
he looked
possibility.
pretty good until he went out with that concussion, actually.
That was
Now,
fast.
it's a very, very small sample size, but I think he was I think he threw like 2 or 3 incompletions, had like 70 yards, I think, to that point.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, a little bit of promise there. You want to see your young guy play too, but you also, I guess, if you're in playoff contention, you've got to go for it.
Seattle's next 3 games, including tonight, at Dallas, at San Francisco, Philadelphia at home.
Does not
It
sound
doesn't
like
get
a
much tougher than that.
favorable schedule.
It does
But
not get
another
much
way
tougher
I
than
would
that.
look to bet this game
Yeah.
is kind of to hit on the game, kind of a little segue on our next game.
Yeah.
I think San Francisco is going to win that game.
Let's talk about
And
it.
I think Dallas wins tonight. So I would be looking at a potential Dallas NFC East future. They're sitting at plus 700 right now. I believe if they win tonight and Philly loses this week, it goes to what, 1 game?
And then they play next Sunday
And then
night
they still
in
play
Dallas.
next Sunday.
No, it's next week. Yeah.
Yeah, they still play. I mean, it's not crazy. Plus 700 feels like way too big of a number because I mean, I think Philly's losing this week, and I don't think
Here's the
Dallas is
problem.
losing tonight.
Here's the problem. Philly's last 3 games: Giants, Cardinals, Giants again. That's the big issue. You would almost need to bank on the Cowboys to win out and the Eagles to stumble at Seattle in week 15 because they're whooping the Giants twice and they're whooping the Cardinals.
For more than likely, but they haven't had. I guess they did have their slip up with the Jets. Fuck. I don't know, dude. It feels like a lot of value though, because anything can happen, and they've been playing 1-score games left and right.
Right. But then you look at Dallas. Then you look at Dallas's last 4 games because they're playing Seattle tonight, and then let's say they beat the Eagles, and let's say the Eagles lose to the Niners, and both the Eagles and the Cowboys would be sitting at 11-3 with 3 games left. Or, yeah, let's just say that 11-3 with 3 games left, and the Eagles have the Giants twice and the Cardinals.
Yeah.
The Cowboys' last 4 games are at Buffalo, at Miami, Detroit at home, and at Washington. Who for no reason whooped their ass last year.
I think those are all winnable, honestly. Like, obviously not as winnable as Phillies.
Yeah.
But the only one that actually concerns me right now would be the Miami game.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yes, it's at Miami.
Yeah, that's the only one that really concerns me because I think they beat Buffalo. I think they beat Detroit. Is it in Detroit or is it in?
It's in Dallas.
Yeah, they beat them in Dallas. I really think Dallas might run the table.
I don't know. I mean, it could be cold and snowy in Buffalo. That's going to be a game Buffalo has to have.
You don't need to lean on Tony Pollard.
Do we think Dallas is a favorite in that game?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
I think
it's like Buffalo by like 1.5, maybe 2.
I think Vegas is out on Buffalo at this point.
They might be, but I don't know. It feels like a must-win spot for Buffalo in Buffalo. You haven't got to see Dallas as a dog much this year. Feels like a good spot to get them as a dog, little trap line.
Here's on the topic of this game. This is the last chance for any team, in my opinion, especially. I mean, if Philly wins, the division is over and the 1 seed is over. The 1 seed is going to Philadelphia.
Everything's locked. Yeah.
This line opened at a pick'em. It has been pushed to 2, and now subsequently has been pushed to 3. You can get 2.5 at some markets, depending on where you look. As you can see, both of these teams are tied for 3rd for points per game. In my opinion, You have the best offensive line in the NFL and the Eagles going up against the best defensive line in the NFL and the 49ers. You could say that the 49ers have a top 5 offensive line as well, and the Eagles are probably a top 5 defensive line, if not right behind the Niners. The turnover battle is going to be key here. San Francisco, I don't know how they're number 1 in the NFL in takeaway differential, just because those 3 games that they lost just stick in my craw so hard, and I remember them turning the ball over multiple times in those 3 games. But believe it or not, I think the key to this game is going to be throwing the ball for the 49ers. The 49ers, Brock Purdy is number 1 in the NFL in average air yards per attempt, which is crazy. Which is absolutely crazy. And the Eagles, as you can see on the screen highlighted in yellow, are 4th to last, 29th in the NFL in defending the pass. If there's going to be a team, and we said it earlier this week, Josh, they can't keep getting away with it. If there's going to be a team, that's going to beat Philadelphia, it's got to be the 49ers in this spot. I would feel supremely confident if it was in San Francisco. I have my reasons why I'm not so confident anymore that I texted you about, and we'll get to later on the pod. However, it does feel like the public is all over San Francisco in this spot. Game of the year potential, absolute game of the year potential. Going to be a barn burner at the link. And I think, honestly, the 49ers are the more motivated team here. They want to prove that they could have won that game last year, if not for the circumstances. And Philly could just set to be content at 10-1, or Philly could put their foot on their throats and remind them that they're the class of the NFC. There's a whole lot going on in this game. I can't wait to see it as a fan. Do you have anything else to add before we move along?
Yeah, you say game of the year potential. I see potential lopsided game.
I hope you're right.
Like
I hope you're right.
I will be looking to lay alternate spreads in this game.
Oh, come on.
San Francisco. I
bet
Philly
on Sunday when it was close to a pick 'em.
Yeah.
So
you got them at like what, minus 130 on the money line?
Yes, minus 130. They're probably closer to like minus 165 right now without looking.
Dude, it's a 2.5 point spread.
Minus 160.
Yeah. No, I think San Francisco just matches up so well with them. Philly's been exhausting a lot of energy to beat a lot of teams up till this point. And I think San Fran is just ready to impose their will. And with that pass defense Philly's rolling out there right now, I look for Ayuk to maybe have like a coming out party. Like, I get that he's already had a breakout year, but I think in a big time game, prime time, well, not prime time spot, but like, game of the week.
Might as well be.
This is the prime time spot. It's game of the week. I look for him to kind of put his name in that top 5 receiver category in this game. I think he could just absolutely go nuts.
All right. So, as big of a game as early December could lend to us as two teams vying for the last wild card spot, because like we talked about, I do think the Browns will fade a little bit in the AFC wild card race, but the Steelers are making the playoffs, just schedule allotted. And you have two teams that are sitting on the outside looking in right now. The two teams on the outside looking in at 6-5, battling on Sunday. The Denver Broncos are catching 3.5 at the Houston Texans, total 47.5. This is as big as it gets for both of these teams that, to be honest with you, in the last few years have not played in a whole lot of meaningful games. And we are now in a spot where this is the most meaningful game for both of these teams. Denver is the hottest team in the AFC, 5 wins in a row. Houston was one of those teams until this past week where they ran into a Jacksonville team that needed to win to make sure that they could lock up their division. So many angles to take in this game. There are so many ways to look at this game. I think Houston playing zone coverage is going to be really important in this game. They're one of the better teams playing zone coverage in the NFL. Denver, I think, is going to need to stop the run and do what they've been doing on this win streak and create turnovers. They have been creating so many turnovers. It's crazy in their 5-game winning streak. They've been popping the ball out a lot. I will say this. I told Josh earlier this week, I am going to start doing a lot more hot reads. I'm going to start betting a week before games and see how it works out for me. I did take Houston -2.5 on Sunday night. 3.5 is enough to scare me away because I do think this game's going to be close. However, I felt just comfortable enough at 2.5. The Bucs got to stop somewhere with Denver, and I don't think that they're explosive enough to run a track meet with Houston. And for a team like Denver, who wins games at least in the last 5 weeks on defense and with their run game, 47.5 feels a little high, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think the total feels high. I would lean the under definitely here, but I like Houston too much. Like, I think this is another, like the last game, I think this is a big mismatch spot. I think we could see a big game from both running backs for Houston, honestly. I think we could see Singletary get going. Pierce, I think, will get more of a snap share this week than he did last week. Denver's run defense is suspect. Everybody's been talking about how high they are on their defense now, that their numbers are getting better, and the turnover takeaway differential. Guess what? You run the football, there ain't going to be as many takeaways. These running backs aren't going to put the ball on the ground, I don't think. And Stroud, yeah, he threw 3 picks last week. I don't look for that to continue this week. He's been a great decision maker all year. I don't think that Denver's pass rush is going to be as lethal as what he saw last week against Jacksonville. I think this is probably where the line needs to be set at, but I think that this is probably closer to a touchdown finish. I think Houston by probably 5-6 points would be more where I would set this line. I don't think Denver can hang with them when it comes to getting into a shootout. Did you know, by the way, I was listening, I think it was the Greg Cosell podcast today.
Yeah, love
Cosell.
And
he was talking about Denver, and he's talking about Russ's check down percentage is 32%. Double. He's first. Double the guy in second.
Did he say who the guy in second is?
No, he didn't say who was in second, and I haven't had the time to look it up. But, I mean, dude, 32% check down rate is insane.
It's a lot of check downs.
It's insane, and I don't think you can sustain winning that way. You can beat some bad teams in some low-scoring games. This isn't Houston's not going to let this be a low-scoring game. They put up points week in, week out.
And I think that leans to Houston as well in this game because I don't think Denver wants to be playing from behind. What has been the trend really in this 5-game winning streak? They have rarely been playing from behind. They have kind of taken control of games and sat on the lead.
Yep, ugly football.
That's going to be the
just
key.
Hung around in games until they could pull ahead.
That's going to be the key for the Texans. Get out early, score first, score second.
They've got to force turnovers, and I just don't think they're going to do it in this matchup.
The mean, big thing. The regression to the mean has to happen at some point. And look, I have completely bought in. You saw me say in the group chat, I've bought into this Denver team multiple weeks ago. I bet them against Buffalo. I bet them against Minnesota. I don't.
I'm bought in on them too.
I don't see it in this
but I'm more bought in on Houston.
Agreed.
That's my thing. I'm bought in on both these teams.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. So we share an opinion on that game. I know for a fact we also share opinion on this game as well. The Detroit Lions are coming off extra rest after that straight up debacle on Thanksgiving, where a waxing gibbous somehow is just their kryptonite. When they play on Thanksgiving with a waxing gibbous moon, they just cannot win. What is it? 0-13 now all time? That's fucking voodoo shit. That's insane. It really is. They're laying 4 on the road at the Caesars Superdome against the New Orleans Saints, over under 47, which, I mean, feels kind of high, but I mean, with Detroit's defense, let's just say this straight out. They cannot play man coverage. And they don't have the personnel. They don't
play zone very well either.
I know.
I don't think they play zone well either. Like, they just stand out there and cover an area. They don't actually cover anyone in their zone. They just are like, I got this spot.
Yeah. And they've been very good against the spread this season, 7-4 against the spread, where the Saints are 3-7-1 against the spread, coming off another debacle this week where they kicked 5 field goals, 3 of them in the red zone against the Falcons. However, Josh, New Orleans is the side here, right?
Have to be, because this number makes
They
no
have
sense.
to be. Well, but think about
I
this.
mean, it does, but yeah.
Think about this. The extra rest and going on the road, shortening the spread a few points, and the extra rest, maybe giving them a couple points, I feel like is all factored into this number.
Oh, I
It has
agree.
to be.
But also, New Orleans defense has been pretty good this year. I think we can
It
agree.
has.
Like, I know the stats show it more middle of the pack, but I don't know. The points allowed per game is a good number. They've got to score more, but I don't think scoring is going to be a problem against this defense is the thing, especially if Olave can play.
The red zone is the key.
Derek Carr sucks in the red zone, dude.
Gotta score in the red zone.
All we've got to do is just turn around and give the ball to Kamara in the red zone.
I swear.
Find any way to get him touches in the red zone. Throw screens to Olave. Just do anything to get the ball out of Carr's hands fast and let your playmakers make plays in the red zone. That's what you need to do. And I also just don't think Detroit's defense. Like, we might get some big play touchdowns from New Orleans.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have Rashid Shaheed. Don't know if you're going to need him. Like, if Olave plays, I don't think it matters.
Why? Because Lynn Bowden Masterclass is incoming?
It is incoming. I can't wait for it. Dude, love me some Lynn Bowden Jr.
This guy played quarterback at Kentucky, bro.
I know. Dude, he's an athlete.
Yeah, he is an
athlete. Also, we're forgetting the main red zone weapon, Taysom Hill.
Yeah, true.
Dude, just get in the red zone and let him carry it 4 times.
Taysom Hill's going to be fed in this game.
I'll be betting Taysom Hill anytime touchdown.
As far as the Lions are concerned, you remember how the first 8 or 9 weeks of the season, Jared Goff was not turning the ball over at all. That feels like a distant memory at this point. He fumbled 3 times. At his little grubby hands.
Tiny hands.
Turned the ball over 3 times on his own last week. Fumbled.
Bro, he just dropped one. He was stepping up in the pocket and just dropped it. What are we doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
It's kind of regressed to the mean a little bit. It absolutely has. And the key in this game, the two huge keys. Can the Saints turn field goals into touchdowns in the red zone? And can they win the turnover battle like they seem like they should? Because Detroit is 23rd in takeaway differential. The Saints are 6th. Can they win the turnover battle like they're supposed to? I really hate even getting points at home, Josh. I really, really hate putting coin on Dennis Allen, who is the least profitable head coach in the NFL against the spread in the last 20 years.
That's why I don't do it. That's why I don't normally ever do it.
But New Orleans is the side. I'm sorry, but New Orleans is the side.
Sad. I hate to play it, but I have to. I'm a man.
Another home dog. Yeah, I agree with you. Another home dog this week. Believe it or not, this is Patrick Mahomes' first ever start at Lambeau Field. Can you believe? I think there were 3 matchups when Aaron Rodgers was with the Packers that 3 different times the Chiefs were scheduled to play the Packers, and we never got to see Mahomes versus Rodgers. Not one time. It was either Mahomes versus Love.
Actually,
it was either Mahomes versus Love or Rodgers versus Henne. I think it was twice.
And we got Henne twice. Oh
no, it was twice. It was Rodgers. It was 2 times, and one time it was Mahomes versus Love, and one time it was Rodgers versus Henne.
That's a shame.
It's unfortunate. It's an absolute shame. However, here we are, and the Packers are rolling. Given last week's game, they are looking to get back to 500 for the first time since they were. I mean, didn't they win their first 2 games?
Yeah.
Now, or at least we're 2-1. I know they won their first game. I think they might have lost their second and ended up being 2-1 when they came back against the Saints. They came back against the Saints in week 3 to get to 2-1.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
2-1. Yeah, that sounds right.
And then it was Detroit at Lambeau, and then from there, I believe after they beat the Saints, they lost 4 straight. Nevertheless, they have won 3 of their last 4. and are headed into this spot as 6-point dogs at home. Look, Brad and I talked last week. How can you trust Kansas City to cover big numbers, especially on the road? And here we are again, after Kansas City just covered a big number on the road, despite being down 14-0 in the first half.
Give me Green Bay.
Tell me why. Because I'm terrified to bet this game. Both sides. I'd be terrified both sides.
Lambeau's a crazy place. And you're giving me 6 points in Lambeau. I'm taking it. And maybe I'm a square because we just saw them have a huge game on Thanksgiving. It was in a big primetime spot. And everybody just saw the Chiefs cover a big number and think they are going to do it again or can't do it again. Yeah. I don't know. I think Green Bay has figured something out. Jordan Love is playing arguably like a borderline top 10 quarterback of the last 3 weeks. And
agreed.
It's kind of flying under the radar. Nobody's really talking about it. But I think they've found something with this young core. And I think they're going to continue to build on it and sneak into the playoffs without anybody really ever noticing. And I think they're going to be a tough out if they get in. LaFleur's a damn good coach. And had they not had that dry spell, we'd be getting him being considered for like coach of the year, I believe. Because what he's doing with this young roster, I mean, dude, they've got, of their 5 receivers, I believe it's 3 second-year guys and 2 rookies with a first-year quarterback. And he hasn't had Aaron Jones all year. A.J. Dillon has been a big disappointment. So you're winning winning games with a first-year quarterback, first-year starter, and no experience at your skill positions. I think it's a very impressive coaching job he's doing in the Green Bay right now. And Kansas City, they're fine, but I think they'd be perfectly content with going into Green Bay, getting out with a win, and not worrying about putting up a big number.
So we interrupt this program to put this on the screen.
Oh, Lord.
DK Metcalf's game outfit.
Oh.
Dog, come on. Where's it at? This is an hour ago. Why is it not? Here it is. We're going to put it on the screen. You ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
My man is in a skirt.
Not just a skirt. A leather skirt.
He's got the Therabody bag. And dude, look at the boots.
He's got the combat boots on.
He looks like he's going to a funeral.
Why does he kind of look like Dez Bryant?
A little bit.
Kind of resembles Dez.
Yeah.
By the way, did you see Dez going off on Twitter on a report?
Yeah, talking to Malik Andrews. I do think a lot of what he said was right. However, he didn't have to come at her so hot and stoop so low about her background and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
but that's a conversation about another day. And I do feel like there was some unfairness when it came to Brandon Miller, especially because he was acquitted. And look, I could be the biggest Josh Giddey homer of all time, but that man's in big trouble.
Yeah.
And if he is guilty of what he's guilty of allegedly, then rightfully so. Yeah. However, all right.
Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to get off track.
No. Oh no, we're good. Let's get to kind of what I feel is going to be a gross game. I have no idea how the total is this high. Joe Flacco is back. And they take the road, catching 3.5 at the Rams. I did not put this pick, what I'm about to say, in my pick 5. I do have a play in this game in my pick 5, but I'm not going to lead off with it. I think the Browns, I don't care who, and I'm going to go as far as say this. I don't care who's playing quarterback, and I know I faded the Rams last week. I think Cleveland's the side here. I think they match up very well with the Rams. I think they're going to force the Rams to throw the ball, which is a situation that the Rams don't want to be in. They're not going to be able to run the ball on that defense, no matter how explosive Kyron Williams looked last week. Arizona's defense would allow a cardboard cutout to average 5 yards a carry. Can Cleveland hang on to the ball? Cleveland also was very unlucky last week with what? 4 fumbles? 3 fumbles?
Yeah.
And both of them set up Denver touchdowns.
And DTR died.
Correct. I wouldn't care if it was PJ Walker, bro.
God, he's so bad.
I think with it being Joe Flacco, it gives me even a little more comfort, to be honest with you.
I would rather it be Joe Flacco. But honestly, the only thing I care about before playing this game is Myles Garrett going to play.
Exactly. And that's why I haven't touched it yet.
The only thing
that's why I haven't touched it yet.
Playing Cleveland.
If Garrett doesn't play,
if Garrett doesn't play, this line might move 3 points.
I don't know about 3 points. I could see it moving to 5. I don't know if it'll move to 6.
It should move 3 points, in my opinion.
I don't think it would move to 5. I think it might move to 6.5, but I don't think it would
Garrett
move. To 5 rather.
But ugly. I think that's how big of his impact is.
I think his impact is great, absolutely, but this defense can hold their own without him, in my opinion, just because of how good they are and at every level. Like, they have linebackers that play well. Their secondary is very good.
But I don't think you'll have the game-changing plays that they've been getting, because those have been primarily coming from Garrett.
Yeah,
and that's really been what's kept them in games and allowed them to be able to win games. And
sure,
if you take that away, this defense might fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say that about one guy, because I know one guy is not that important, but in some cases it is that important.
The potential defensive player of the year is very important.
In my opinion, I think he should be the potential MVP.
Yeah.
Where's this team without him?
I mean, if they don't make the playoffs, let's make no mistake about it.
If they get in the playoffs with the combination of DTR, Joe Flacco, and PJ Walker playing quarterback,
Stefanski needs to be coach of the year.
That, and I think Garrett should be in consideration for MVP, because no offensive player has taken that race.
No. The MVP conversation, I mean, you would hope,
I guess Dak,
or not hope. I guess, but
the
game in which that I thought he could have loved to have closer to the voting was the Colts game, when he Olympic hurdled the defensive line and blocked the field goal and got a couple of fumble recoveries. That game was absolutely nuts for him.
Probably do something like that again between now and the end of the year.
I love Cleveland in this spot.
Yeah, I agree.
The Rams are coming off of a huge decimation of Arizona. And to be honest with you, I think 3.5 is just too many points.
Cleveland coming off of a loss.
I love the under as well. We'll get back to that. In a game that I can promise you I will not touch at all in any shape or fashion, at MetLife, Atlanta is laying 2.5 at the Jets, because it's a very simple prospect here, Josh. You cannot trust Tim Boyle at all. You cannot trust this Jets offense.
What
was that?
Are we sure it's going to be Tim Boyle?
Yes, we are. The Jets literally.
Did they announce it? Oh,
they announced it after Black Friday. After the game. Saleh said after the game they're giving him another start. It's going to be Tim Boyle. But on the flip side,
finish the game?
That's a good question. On the flip side, I can't lay points on the road with Desmond Ridder. I can't.
That's why the Jets are the side.
Oh, my God.
The Jets are going to win this game. They're going to win this game, dude.
Timmy Boyle?
It doesn't matter, dude. You and I could go play quarterback, and the Jets are winning this game.
Oh, my Jesus.
They're going to lean on Breece Hall. They're going to throw a bunch of screen passes. The defense is going to make Desmond Ridder poop and pee himself. and they're going to win the game. It's going to be 7-3. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, I'm not going to watch this game. I'm going to bet the under and not look at it ever again.
33.5, the total,
I
and the
don't
under is
care.
totally the side.
It could be 30.5. I'm still hitting it. It could be 24.5, like an
Like an
Iowa
Iowa
game,
game. Yeah.
and I'm still going to
Yeah.
hit it.
Oh,
Because
good
I don't
Lord.
know. I don't think Atlanta can move past the 50 on this defense.
Yeah.
Unless they just feed Bijan.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they don't want – Bijan should touch the ball 35 times this game.
But he's not, because the dunderhead that's holding the Denny's menu on the sideline isn't going to allow it.
If you give the ball to Bijan 35 times in this game, you're winning by 2 scores.
Should, but we just know that that's not going to happen.
Oh, I know.
Atlanta is in the top half of the NFL in every defensive category. I think they've very quietly been a very good defense, and that's why, God, gun to my head, I have to disagree with you. Even though I would not lay points with Desmond Ridder with my actual coin, I don't see how Atlanta can't be the side here, because I feel like their defense will play well enough to stifle the Jets. And if Atlanta can just score 14 points, they're going to win the game. If
So
they can
my
just
other
score
thing here,
2 touchdowns, they win
my
the
other
game.
thing here is the number. It's set at 2.5 for a specific reason, for a home dog. Vegas has got to get its get back. Dude, they got dog walked by favorites last week, and they've got to get back this week with underdogs.
Yeah.
This feels like a game the Jets have to win for Vegas. And I think this line is set this way for a very, very important reason. This is a game they expect big money to come in on Atlanta, because the public likes betting Atlanta because of all their skill positions. And then they like to bitch about Arthur Smith not using those players. It just feels like a perfect game for Vegas right here, with the Jets winning and the game going under.
Yeah. I'm excited to not talk about that game anymore.
Fair.
And get back to one of our favorite trends. Why do we continue to make Mike Vrabel a home dog? Roof. Why?
Give me the Colts.
Mike Vrabel is a home dog again. The Titans are 4-1 at home this season. They have not won a single fucking game on the road. Not one. They're 0-6 on the road. But they are 4-1 at home. And they have not only won every game at home, they have won every game at home and covered every number at home. They beat the Bengals at home. They beat the Chargers at home. They beat the Falcons at home. And I'm leaving one more out. The Panthers.
Panthers, yeah, that doesn't count.
Won all 4. Other than the one, they've won all 4 of those games and covered in all those games at home. I will gladly prance, skip, frolic to the window and put my coin on Tennessee on Sunday, because the books do not learn when it comes to this trend. They really don't. And I get Indianapolis is playing well, and I get Minshew is serviceable. But as we said, Dennis Allen, the least profitable head coach against the spread in the last 2 decades. Mike Vrabel, number 1, the most profitable coach against the spread in the last 20 seasons. Easy
You said
money.
all that, and I still like the Colts.
Tell me why I'm wrong.
I think Vrabel's eyes are on the door. So I think he's looking for a job further north.
Not this week, though, I don't think. And it's a divisional game where you lost to this team earlier in the season. Do we really think the Colts with a backup quarterback are going to get swept?
Did you watch Tennessee? Did you watch Tennessee last week?
Yeah, they got up by 2 scores and just sat on the lead.
They should have never got up by 2 scores.
Yeah, probably not.
That's a 10-7 ball game. Is what it really was. Like, if Ike Ekwonu isn't a turnstile and gets Bryce killed for a fumble, the Titans score 10 points.
Yeah.
And Indy's not going to do that. Indy's not going to hand you points. Minshew's not going to get smoked because their left tackle just can't block no-name defensive ends. Like, it was a pitiful game to watch last week. Tennessee is a bad football team.
Yeah.
And I'm not convinced Will Levis is that good. I'm just not. He made some turnover-worthy plays last week against a depleted Panthers defense that we just didn't take advantage of. Indy's better than that. Indy has their sights set on the playoffs, and they need to win as many games as they can to get there. And that starts with or continues with beating up on a bad Tennessee team with what I believe is their coach eyeballing that job in Foxborough.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot this week too.
Makes a lot of sense.
I guess, but like, I mean, what you want to leave Tennessee and where you think you might have your quarterback? I'm saying might. Like, I'm not out on Levis yet. And you're gonna
I'm
go
not
to a
out
place
on him.
with
I'm not
no
out on him
quarterback
by any means.
But what's
But
attractive?
Guess what? You got a top 5 pick in a good QB class where you might have
I
Drake
guess.
May on the way.
But you have no idea if Drake May's going to be any good. We think he's going to be.
You don't
but
know
we
if
have
Levis
no
is
idea.
either.
But I guess.
And
but we've seen.
You can go work with Robert Kraft, who you've been around before. Belichick disciple. Feels like Kraft's going to come talking. May have already been talking to Vrabel. I mean, I don't know. Stars feel like they're aligning for him to end up in Foxborough and Belichick to be hitting the door. Plus, I think Tennessee might be ready to move on anyway. I think Vrabel might see the writing on the wall and be looking to jump ship.
Would be such a mistake.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be. Like, I think Vrabel's a very good coach, and I think firing him would be a huge mistake. But
huge mistake.
I could see it. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if we found out they fired him after this season. Would you?
I mean, shocked, no. Surprised at the idiocy of ownership.
Same.
Yes.
Same.
That can both be that doesn't have to be mutually exclusive, but
yeah, I agree. Because I would be a little surprised by it, but I wouldn't be shocked. Like, there's a reason these middling to bad teams stay that way. Because they let people like.
We're talking about a team that's 2 years removed from the 1 seed.
Oh, I know. But, dude, that's how fast this league moves and forgets things.
Yeah. Right. Miami takes to Washington, laying 9.5, over under 49.5. This total might not even be high enough because Washington's defense is horrid. Sam Howell can put up points. However, I'm not going to say Washington is the side, but I would be afraid. I think Miami is in prime teaser territory because I would be afraid to lay the 9.5 and get backdoored. That would be what I would be afraid of. Is I would be afraid of getting backdoored.
Yeah, I'd be afraid of getting backdoored. This would be the game where I look to play like the typical same game teaser with teasing Miami down to like -2.5 and taking the over up to like 56.5 and playing the under, taking the total up to 56.5 and playing the under. I don't think Washington will be able to score enough against Miami, even though Miami's defense isn't a phenomenal unit. That's 56.5 is a lot of points. We haven't seen that number hit very often this year, even with good offensive play. And Miami's winning this game. I think they're probably covering this number. I think Washington's probably about ready to pack it in. I think they kind of made that clear at the trade deadline with the moves they made. Even going into Washington, I don't think it really matters. Miami feels like, again, kind of like Dallas. They beat up on bad teams. They take care of business when they're supposed to. And this just feels like another one of those spots.
Yeah, I agree. And, Washington at this point is looking ahead to the future. Ron Rivera should know that he's a lame duck. And Miami at this point, though, like, how much faith do we have in Miami in covering these big spreads now that they're clearly the better team? They're comfortably the better team. But at the end of the day, if we take a look at some of the big spreads that Miami has had in the last few weeks, they couldn't cover against the Raiders. Last week, I mean, they covered against the Jets, lost to the Chiefs, lost to the Eagles 2 weeks prior to that. Yeah, they covered against the Patriots, but everybody covers against the Patriots. Can't believe they were only 7.5-point favorites in that game. I don't know, man. I just think that Miami, I'm scared to death about being backdoored here in this spot. If you are a teaser guy, I would tease Miami. I would probably pair that with Cleveland. Teaser I would like would be like Miami, Cleveland. What's another line? Miami, Cleveland, and maybe Jacksonville. If you want to take your teaser into Monday, Miami, Cleveland, and Jacksonville all feel like solid teaser spots for me. But 9.5, only thing I'd be scared about is getting backdoored. That's the only thing.
I don't know if I'd do a 3-team teaser. Like, I don't know if you heard, I suggested the same game with the under.
Yeah.
Teasing it up
to 56.5.
Yeah, I love that in this game. That's a lot of fucking points.
Washington can give up 40 in a heartbeat.
They can.
Another big number that I have no problem laying at all. Jacksonville at home. Jacksonville is a wagon against inferior opponents. Their confidence is riding high after they just completely, in my opinion, sealed the division last week, given their remaining schedule. They are laying 8.5 on Monday night at home against Cincinnati. Total is at 41.5. I don't see how you could have any confidence playing the points with Cincinnati here. Other than the one drive where, like I said on the pod on Monday, I know the score was 16-10 against Pittsburgh, but that score does not reflect that game script. That score does not reflect how widespread that game should have been. Pittsburgh should have won that game by 2 touchdowns at least. And the only reason Cincinnati got in the end zone to begin with was on a fluke tip by Levi Wallace in the middle of the field that ended up falling, of course, right into Jamar Chase's hands. And Jamar Chase then went on and did Jamar Chase things and took it upfield. Jacksonville should easily cover this number. I'm looking to take alternate spreads. I don't think this is going to be a game on Monday night, bro.
I would probably agree. My favorite play is on the under here. I don't know if Cincinnati can score a touchdown in this game. I got the wrong Jacksonville.
I got the wrong total on the screen, by the way.
It's 39.
It's 38. It's 38.5 now.
38.5 now.
Yep.
Yeah, don't care. I'd still take it. And that's a big ass number for that low of a total. That tells me Cincinnati's team total is probably sitting at like somewhere between 10.5 and 13.5.
Cincinnati's team total is 14.5, 13.5, depending on where you get it.
It's way too high, and it also makes me kind of consider changing my pick 5 pick.
Heavily juiced towards the 14.5 under.
Yeah, I figured it's probably sitting at like close to 150.
Minus 120, actually.
Oh, really?
On MGM, your favorite book.
I fucking hate that book. I hate that book, dude. It's the worst. But yeah, dude, I don't know if they can score 10 points, much less more than 2 touchdowns. Give me a break, dude. And with primetime unders printing like cash, how do you not take the under here and just run it to the bank?
Yeah. No, primetime unders have been very good to me recently.
This feels like a 24-6 game to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we can agree that another total that feels way too high is at the Ketchup Bottle, now known as Acrisure Stadium. I got a couple coworkers that are going to be at this game. Arizona and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is laying 5.5, which feels like a lot, but dog, Arizona is blacklisted for me after Sunday. They are completely blacklisted. Should have taken your advice and hedged the Rams, but we live and we learn. And if I could do it over again, I absolutely would have. And at this point, the Steelers are the number one team in Action Network's luck rankings because they're the number one takeaway differential team in the NFL.
Probably
they are
the
plus
last
11.
Decade.
Yeah, I mean, for real. But 41.5, bro. This is a good defense that Pittsburgh has. This is an Arizona offense that last week on scripted plays went right down the field. And then after that, pooped and farted everywhere. Did nothing the rest of the day. And at this point, they might be mailing it in, but I still do feel like Kyler Murray is playing to get wins. That's why I'm going to stay away from the spread. And I don't feel good laying 5.5 with Kenny Pickett. I really don't, no matter where the game is.
That's why I'd be on Arizona, and I'd love to get a 6.
Really?
You get a 6. Oh, yeah, dude. I get that that's not really that key of a number, but
they should give the ball to Jalen Warren.
3 or 4 points.
They should give the ball to Jalen Warren 30 times in this game.
They won't. He'll have 12 carries. And then Najee will have 14 carries. And then Kenny Pickett will throw a pick, kind of touchdown.
Well,
and
it's
then Kyler's going to run all over the place, dude. You're going to see those little midget legs just. You can hear the little circus music going. Yeah, that's going to be playing all day because he's just going to run circles around that defense and make plays out of nothing. So, yeah, there's no way I'd ever in a million years lay 5.5 with Pittsburgh. Do I think they win the game? Yes. Do I think they cover this spread? Fuck no.
Wow, okay.
I just they won 16-10 last week?
Yeah.
You're telling me that's a 6-point game. You're telling me Kyler's not keeping it closer than 16-10?
But again, that game was
they don't
not
convert
a
in the red zone,
game.
dude. I get it, but the Steelers do this every week. They play the exact same football game every week.
Yeah.
For years now. And you're telling me Jake Browning kept it to a 6-point game and Kyler can't keep it a little less than that? 1 point less?
I'm with you. I think the under is definitely the play.
I know Arizona burned you last week, but that also makes it feel like all the more reason to hop right back on them.
Oh, I can't do it.
I know for a fact you weren't the only person on them last week. They were a
lot of people
last week.
A lot of people were sharps.
Everybody's going to be moving over to Pittsburgh this week, I believe.
Hit Arizona as soon as the line came out. I know that for a fact. Last week, it just exploded. Sean McVay put on a play calling masterclass, and it is what it is.
And I don't think whoever's now calling plays in Pittsburgh is going to call plays like Sean McVay.
All right. Are you ready to hear are you ready to hear what's about to come out of my mouth regarding this next game? We got 2 games left. They're both bottom dweller games.
Is this the Carolina game?
No, we're talking about that last.
Oh, lovely. We get to finish with my shithole team.
We have another shithole team to talk about first. As a gambler, this game is fascinating to me for a number of reasons.
Yeah, it is.
Chargers laying 5.5 on the road across the country and about as far as you can go across the country against Hoodie and the boys.
Hoodie. After they just lost to Tommy DeVito.
Correct. And Hoodie and the boys are going to play hard every single week,
Blowfish?
As you know. Yes, Hoodie and the Blowfish. I see this game going one of 2 ways. Either the Chargers win 37-3.
Or the Patriots win outright.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I lean towards the Patriots. I think this is a game where I'll bet the Patriots and sprinkle the money line.
Oh, stop with the sprinkle the money line.
It worked out last week with the Giants.
Well, but the Giants were always the side last week.
Yeah, dude, but the Patriots were really.
I mean, we can see this sob story all week on Twitter, all week long, all we want. Where the public hammered the Bucks. You are the ones that set the line as the Patriots laying 4 on the road. That's your fault.
To anybody,
that's your fault.
And I feel the same way about this game. The Chargers shouldn't be laying 5.5 to 6 to anyone on the road.
I agree with you.
You know how I feel about the Chargers. And how I felt about them all year. I've faded them at every turn this year.
We've talked about Dean Spanos. We've talked about Dean Spanos like being the one guy that's like, I'm not going to fire a coach for nothing. If they lose this game,
you have to fire him.
How?
Also, this
can
game's
Brandon
going
Staley
under.
still be the head coach?
This
Probably
game's going under. That also makes me like New England even more. I don't care what. I don't care how good Herbert is. Also, his coach might be on the other sideline in this game.
Exactly. No, I like the prospect of Belichick being the Chargers coach because Tom Telesco is on borrowed time too. Tom Telesco has been there 11 years, and
Just
Tom Telesco,
Carolina, please, for the
Tom Telesco deserves no credit for drafting Justin Herbert. Nope. You want to know why? Nope. Because the Dolphins could have drafted Justin Herbert.
He wanted to anyway.
The Dolphins could have drafted Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert fell in the Chargers' lap. Telesco deserves no credit for that pick at all. And Telesco also said, Zay Flowers? Nah.
Give me Quentin
Johnston, who is just a worse version of Mike Williams. A much worse version,
bro.
A much worse version.
He's dollar store Mike Williams.
Yes. Same build. Just can't play. Can't
go get jump balls.
He
can't do anything. Dude, he's a big-bodied Tavon Austin.
He looked like that at TCU at times, and I feel like his stock.
Yeah, dude, all he does is catch screens and run.
Well, dude, his stock was so boosted after the Michigan game where literally they played on that garbage dumpster fire of a field at State Farm where literally everyone is falling down on every single snap.
He's just scooting.
Yeah. I mean, give me a break.
He's terrible pick.
I do lean New England in this spot. I don't know if I have the gumption to bet it, but god damn it, Josh, if it gets to 6.
The points.
No.
Keep the points. They're winning.
No,
you think Bill's losing out?
I mean, maybe not, but I don't know if he's losing this game. He's
not losing this game. He's not losing this game.
I don't know.
Bill's winning this game.
Last game, 4:05. Josh's Carolina Panthers are catching 5 on the road at Tampa Bay, and the beginning of the Chris Tabor era begins. Over under 37. I'll be honest with you. I think the total is a little too low.
Keep the points.
Of course.
Money line, baby. Panthers.
Bro, how many times have you been burned saying that this year about your Panthers?
They've won one game.
Except when you and I aligned when they beat the Texans. We can say that we bet on Carolina the one game they won, and they won.
But they're winning this one too. You know why? Because they're a cat team, and this is a dead cat bounce game. You fire your coach, you win the next week. It's how it works. I don't make the rules.
Yeah, I mean,
I just abide by them.
Plus,
Bryce
interim
is about
coaches
to cook too. Bryce is about. I'd be looking at Bryce Young props in this game, like heavily.
Tampa Bay's defense has proved me wrong. Like I gave them credit. I gave them a lot of credit a lot of this season, and
trash.
They're not good.
This
defense cannot cover. This defense could not cover a bedspread. Like,
nope,
it's bad. And Carolina, I sure as hell can't bet Carolina,
Oh, I will.
but I would not be surprised at all if Carolina wins this game outright. I would love to see a system where we have interim head coaches in their first game. We only have one instance of it this year, and the Raiders won in like runaway fashion
Wasn't close.
against the Giants in the first game of the Antonio Pierce era. Um, I just
So
I don't
for
know, bro.
me, a big thing with this game is not only Frank Reich getting fired, but it's also the day after, or not the day after, hours after Deuce Staley and Josh McCown being fired.
Yeah,
Tells me those three had a lot to do with the way this offense was shaped. And it tells me Thomas Brown is probably going to have full control of this offense now.
probably
And I
will.
expect to see a lot more motion or pre snap motion. Expect to see a lot more play action, a lot more rollout passing. And that's where Bryce will excel, I think. When you get him on the outside, allowing him to create, you move the pocket. I think he and Adam Thielen, I think we see Mingo play pretty well. As much shit as he's gotten all week for that terrible, terrible effort to stay in bounds.
Jesus.
It was awful. But I mean, he's been progressing and actually getting a little bit better. DJ Chark has potential. I mean, these skill position guys, they've been getting a bad rep all year. A lot of these guys have been good in the past in their careers. And I just think the scheme has been so bad for them all year. Like, this offense was not designed for any of this personnel. And I'm hoping Thomas Brown has a better vision for that. He's a smart guy. He's worked with a lot of smart people. And I think this is a huge spot against a bad pass defense to kind of kick the tires and get things rolling a little bit.
All right. Pick 5 time. We have changed hands as far as the leader goes for the first time in several weeks, but it's only on a tiebreaker as Josh and I both have 30 points. But due to the fact that Josh has a better win-loss record, he takes over the lead. Josh and I both with 30. Brad maybe with a spirited effort, and Josh and I losing out for 5 straight weeks could have a chance.
He's got to hit some locks first.
This man is 22 and a half points behind us, and I don't like to shit on him while he's not here, but he hasn't hit a lock since week 4. And that is, if you do the math, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That is 16 points, minus 16 points that Brad has lost. We'll go ahead and hit the standings on the screen. 30 for me, 30 for Josh. Josh has those 2 pushes that gave him half points in both. And now we take a look at last week's picks, where pretty much everybody did decent. 3-2 for me, 3-1-1 for Josh, 2-2-1 for Brad, but yet again another missed lock, which has just absolutely destroyed him this season. 16 points he's lost on locks. Even if he had won all of those locks, he would still be 6.5 points behind us. It's been a rough year for Brad. He's going to try to pick it up, and since he's not here, we'll go ahead and do his pick 5 first. I swear to God, I updated it earlier today on the screen, but since it didn't save, we'll go ahead and just look at the picks here. So Brad's pick 5, Detroit -4. He was in a bar fight against Josh and I. I think that spells bad news for Brad.
Agreed.
Arizona, Pittsburgh, under 41.5. I love that pick. I love it a lot. I'm surprised that it didn't end up in my pick 5. I'll probably bet it on Sunday if it doesn't get bet down too far. He and I are in agreement on Tennessee, just in a little bit of a different fashion. Holy shit. It scares the living tits off of me that Brad has not won a lock since week 4, and his lock is San Francisco -2.5.
Just means he's due.
That frightens me. That really frightens me. I do think that means he's due, but we'll see. And his upset are the Denver Broncos. Josh, as you have the lead over me via tiebreak, you have the floor. Go ahead and list yours off.
Yeah, as you started with, I don't love putting coin on New Orleans, but I've got to do it in this spot. And the biggest reason
Agreed.
why isn't any X or O, like none of that. Money is flooded in all over Detroit all week. And this line has not really moved at all. If
Nope.
anything, it's gotten shorter. You're getting 4 a lot of places now. Like, and I'm still not scared off by it. As long as I can get a 4, I'd prefer a 4.5, but as long as I can get a 4, I'll take it. Next, you've got Atlanta and the Jets under 34. Again, like I stated earlier in the pod, this feels like a 7-3, maybe even 6-3, maybe even 3-2 game. Like, we're gonna have a baseball score here. Neither one of these offenses can really move the ball that well. Atlanta can. I just don't think they can against this Jets defense. Um, and Tim Boyle, barring him giving up points to the other team, I'm not scared about him putting points on the scoreboard. After that, we had Houston. Houston minus 3.5. I think this is kind of a buy low spot on Houston after losing last week. And
Look, scares me.
yeah, it doesn't scare me very much, honestly. I think they're far better. Um, and you're getting Denver at the highest price possible. Like, they're on what, a 5-game win streak?
Yep.
Yeah, dude, they're due. They're due for a loss. Houston's going to bounce back here. They're going to come out strong, and they just match up well with Denver's defense. And I don't think what Denver does well on the offensive side of the ball is going to fare well for them against Houston. Um, Next, we head to my lock, Cincinnati and Jacksonville under 39. Again, I don't think Cincinnati can score in this game. Jacksonville made C.J. Stroud's life a living hell last week with their pass rush, and Cincinnati couldn't protect Joe Burrow. Why do we think Jake Browning's going to move the ball with no protection? I don't care that T. Higgins is coming back. Does not matter. Plus, primetime unders are free. So take them as much as you want, except for tonight's Thursday night game. Don't take that one. And then the upset, we're taking the boys back to Carolina. I think the only other time I've put them in my upset spot, though, like I've personally bet on them just about every week. But I think this is only the second time I've put them in my upset spot. And the first time, they cashed for me. Let's see if we can do it again.
All right. We are in agreement on New Orleans plus 4.5. Feel like the number is really baked to the point where they're giving Detroit too much credit on long amounts of rest. And I don't have any faith in this team at the moment. I love the under in Cleveland and the Rams under 40.5. That is my pick number 2. I think that this is going to be a grind. And like I said earlier in this game, Sean McVay is going to be forced to throw the ball, especially if Myles Garrett plays. And that kind of leans to there being a lower scoring game. Jacksonville, lay the number. They are a wagon against terrible teams or bad teams. I don't know how terrible Cincinnati is, but I know their defense has been a huge disappointment. So give me Jacksonville minus 8.5. My lock, you will not believe where the 5.5 is being hung. It is being hung on Unibet, and that counts. Dallas minus 5.5 first half. I've never used that book in my life and never will, but it's on Action Network, so I will count it. Dallas minus 5.5 first half tonight against the Seahawks is my lock. And give me Vrabel as a home dog all day long. That is my upset. They're going to beat the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday. A lot of intriguing matchups this week. I can't wait to see it all play out. Josh, you have any final thoughts?
No, I mean, I think we're in for an interesting week of games following how chalky last week was. I think we're going to get some weird shit this week. Hopefully we get some more points in some of these games other than the ones I bet the under on. Because it's been some shitty football to start the season. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping for things to kind of take an uptick and start feeling like some meaningful games, some playoff feel. But we'll see. We'll see.
Well, for the two of us, we will be back on Monday night for episode 21. Until then, may all your bets cash, and may you have a merry, merry weekend. We will see you on Monday for episode 21. Until then.